Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday to you. We are here with another episode of Project Joy Live. I've got Olivia Ambani, my fabulous co-host for today's show. We're going to be talking about passion, pressure, breaking news, birthdays. We have all kinds of things ready for you. So are you ready to get your joy on? That is the question. That's the question. And if you are, stay with us right now for an all-new episode of Project Joy Live. Good morning, everybody. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas. This is my fabulous co-host today, Olivia Ambani. And we are here for another episode of Project Joy Live. It's your triple shot of good vibes every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at the 9 a.m. Eastern time hour. And what time is it in Kenya right now?
It's 5
p.m. Kenya time. Okay, so I can't ever... timeanddate.com is my friend. That's all I'm going to tell you. And so it's hard, right, to keep our own time straight. And then as we make these global connections, I don't know what time it is anywhere else.
Yeah, I know. I'm always like having to search and what. I'm just like, my friend is in England and we're doing a call on Friday. And she's like, what time is it? And I'm like, okay, what time of year is it? Because time of year is 3 hours, another time 2 hours. I'm like,
Yes, that too. The time changes for some places and then it doesn't change for other places, which gets even more confusing. So we get together. We've been getting together for the last 3 years in the morning, 7 a.m. Eastern time, to read Dorothy's For Love poem together, which is a ritual she started, which I talked about on Monday's show. When the war in Ukraine started, that was something that she wanted to do. And when she passed away, we continued it. But she always set it to be at 1 p.m. Brussels time. So we kept it that, which most of the time, well, not even most of the time, part of the time it's 7 a.m. Eastern time. And then we have a weird period where Europe changes time zone a week, either before or after we do. So we have a week where it's an hour earlier here, but then for our friends in Brazil that join us, they don't change. So we never know what to tell them. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you other than I'm going to put it in the calendar and we just hope it's right.
Yeah. Same, because our time does not change. It's the same all through the year. So
okay.
So it's one of those, so like the show now is at 5, but like when it's your summer, it's going to be 4. It's going to be at 4 p.m. my time. So
okay. Yeah. Well, I apologize ahead of time. I really wish they would leave it alone here, because if you look back at like the history of time zone, like they did it. It's called daylight savings time because the farmers didn't have any lights and things like that at a certain time. And so when it naturally got darker, they needed more daylight. And so now we have things like light bulbs and technology. And so can we get with the times?
No, they just want to switch them hours.
It makes me so sad. Miss Teresa's out there this morning. Good morning, Miss Teresa. Miss Brittany is here. Happy Wednesday. Teresa says, hey, Olivia.
Hey, Teresa.
I love that. So we have a really quick breaking news segment, which is close to home for me this morning. So we're going to talk about that real quick. if I could get my microphone to cooperate with me here today. All right, so here's the deal. Little super quick update this morning. Pope Francis is still in the hospital. He's still in critical condition, but he remains stable, and so we continue to send good vibes his way. But closer to home, I want to highlight a heartwarming story from one of our favorite places in Providence, Rhode Island, which is Providence Vegan Deli. And not only do we enjoy their food, but we have kind of watched their growth, their transformation throughout the last couple of years. So he's located over on Hope Street in Providence, Rhode Island, and the owner, Rich, has made it his mission to support those in need by offering free sandwiches to anyone who can't afford to pay. There's a sign in his deli that reads, "If you or someone you know needs a meal, please bring one of these tickets to the counter and our staff will get you a sandwich on the house, no charge, no questions." Rich's
Wow.
generosity stems from the support he received during his own challenges, including a Kickstarter campaign that raised $22,000 to help him open the deli. Now he's paying it forward, embodying the profound impact of community support and the importance of giving back. This story reminds us that regardless of our circumstances, we all have the ability to give back in some way through grand gestures or small acts of kindness. And this giving enriches our communities and our own lives, of course. So congratulations to Rich on this article in the Providence Journal. We're so excited for you, so happy for you. And I'm both thankful and sad that we don't live closer. I'm thankful because I would be there every day. I would be both broke and a even bigger girl. But I'm also sad because I would love to be able to support both Providence Vegan Deli and their neighbor like no other, who has delicious ice cream. I'd like to support them more often, but I'm not closer, so that's exciting. Do you ever have you ever seen anything like that in different restaurants, Olivia, where you have the opportunity to like pay a meal forward to somebody?
I haven't, but what I've found is like people sometimes will just generously pay for other people or like just tip, or actually it happens a lot in supermarkets. My
Mm.
auntie actually told me a couple of times where she's been in the supermarket and the person in front of her has just said, I'll pay for her bill or something like
Oh,
that. So that happens a couple of times that people just buy food for different people. So that's in supermarkets and markets, I see that happening a lot here. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So it's always a good thing to see people paying it back. So congratulations again to Providence Vegan Deli, and we can't wait to come back and visit you. Let's before we go to break, let's have our joyversation this morning. Okay, so I have a profound question today. Okay, it's not really profound today, but it's a fun one. If you could invite anyone to your next birthday party, who would you invite and why? So no expense spared, no time, no distance, no anything. Who would you invite to your next birthday?
Oh my gosh, that's a deep one. I don't know. I actually thought of two people. The first one actually was if it was possible. My grandmother who passed away, I would have her.
Oh,
I would have
yeah.
her at my birthday party. I have so many questions and things I'd have loved to know. So I would have her. The other person, you know who I would have? I would have John Legend at my party. If I
Oh,
wanted to.
hey. And, well, okay, so would he just be in attendance or would he be serenading us as well?
He's got a serenade. He's got to do at
Yes.
least one or two songs. Okay, I won't be too harsh. I'm like two songs, and then I want to talk. And then because it's my birthday, I'll be like, okay, you owe me a collabo. That's my birthday gift to me. You being here is not enough. I want to do a collabo with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I'd have at my birthday party.
I
What
would
about
I
you?
would be I would love to listen. And then a third person you'd have to invite me because I want to hear that too.
Yeah, of course. So three, Jessica.
I was gonna say, I mean, there's so many people that I've met through doing these shows that and I've said this before, I've had this sort of like I love to bring people together and to like connect the dots between different eras of my life. And I've had this sort of like thing that one day I just want to have this gigantic pool party or beach party and invite like the people from my elementary school and like you and Brittany and Teresa and like Danielle and like just connect the dots from all those different times in my life. And so that's what I would do if I could pick anyone and anything. I would just bring all of my favorite people together from different
I
times
love
and
that.
be like, she influenced me when I was this age and she was there for me during this. And I just think it would be the coolest thing to do.
It would so be like for my birthday, I kind of had that last
Yeah.
birthday party, my 40th. So I had friends from different circles, some from school, some from music, some from like work. And so I just had them all together. Like there were like 10 of them and it was super awesome. They're all really lovely, all got on really well. So yeah, I think you should do it. It would be so
Yeah.
cool.
That would be fun. That would be fun. All right. Listen, I want to hear from you. If you can invite anyone to your next birthday party, who would you invite and why? Share it down in the comments and we'll be right back after this. Breakthroughs are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them to bring more joy into our own lives and the lives of others. It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space. It's about creating connection. Join us each and every day for exclusive programming, special events, and a community to call home, where we invite you to explore, change the way you look at and live your life, and go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com. Welcome back to Project Joy Live. I'm Jessica Dugas. We're here with Olivia Ambani today, and we're smack in the middle of our Joyversation. If you could invite anyone to your next birthday party, who would you invite and why? Teresa's like, how many? How many do we get? Greg Braden, Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton, my favorite scientists, and then Jessica, Rhonda, Bex, Brittany, Nancy, Kim, Emily, and every one of my close friends, and Olivia and John Legend.
Yeah, we're all coming.
We're all going to be there. I think we should all go to everybody's party. That's the answer.
A tour, right? Like a birthday tour. So like, we're like this month we're here, this month. I think it would be fantastic.
Yes, I love that. And it's so we set up, we have our virtual community, right? You can go to the breakthroughshownetwork.com and down in the middle, you'll see a bit about the community. You can either register and go in or click the already registered button. And one of the rooms that I made back in January is called the birthday suite because Teresa was celebrating her 60th birthday. And I was like, she doesn't have any of her close friends near her. And I was like, let's make a space where we can surprise her. So I made this beautiful background in the room that looks like it would be a party for her. And then I had everybody come in and comment and whatnot down at the sorry, I hear sirens. That was distracting. Okay, so I had everybody go in and comment for her birthday. And then for the month of February, it was my birthday earlier in the month, so it's all set up now. I think we have two days left in that room. You can go in there and you can leave a birthday message for me. We're setting it up in March for Trista, so it's like a virtual version of
nice.
a little
birthday. So cool. And happy belated birthday.
Yes, and Olivia and Trista, and yes, all the people. And then the birthday suite was so perfect. I'm still gonna do a beautiful post about it. I can't wait to see that, Teresa, because she was so surprised.
Oh, that's so lovely and thoughtful.
I love it. I do want to say hi to Wendy Beasley and Tim Hodgkiss over on Instagram as well. Say hello. Let us know how you're doing. What is bringing you joy today? Wendy Beasley, by the way, you guys, is going to be on the show. I think next week. Let me see. I think next week. But she has a new book called The Sheepdog That Doesn't Like Sheep. The
Oh,
Sheepdog That Doesn't Like Sheep. It's a children's book. I get a chance to read it early, and I just left my review on Amazon. But it's a really great story of kind of the biggest theme that I enjoy about it is for kids is stepping outside of the boxes that we and sometimes others try to put us in. Like, you're a sheepdog, you're supposed to like sheep. Well, who says that that's that's what we're supposed to do? So it's a really great story, and I highly recommend it. But Wendy's going to be here to talk all about that very soon. So we're excited about that as well.
nice.
Joanne said, "I'd love to meet my grandchildren and reconnect with my daughter. That would be a good birthday for me." So I love that, Joanne,
Oh,
as well. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so to our topic today, passion versus pleasure. I really wanted to, or pressure. I wanted to talk about this with you because I know that we have both taken on big things. We have these goals, these dreams, these passions that we want to accomplish. And I think sometimes there's an element of duality that's missed. We touched a little bit on this on the show on Monday. Dan Levy, who's an actor and a producer, he shared about how we often miss the journey of things on social
mhm,
media. We'll see
mhm.
like someone has a dream, and next thing you know, they have it, and what happened? What happened in between? But I think there's a dual nature of pursuing dreams. We have the excitement of it, but then there also can be overwhelm. It can be daunting. It can be a lot of different things. So I wanted to start there. Has there ever been a time for you where your passion project or something you're working on has become overwhelming for you?
100%. I feel like almost in all the all the passion projects, especially the really big ones. So
Mm.
the first one really would be my album, my debut album. That crazy. It's been almost 5 years when it came out.
What?
20.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
it's crazy.
That's wild. I
So
didn't realize it had been that
right,
long already.
it's mad. So by the time it was coming up, so it took me 5 years to create it. So
Mm.
from like 2013 to 2018, as was, so songwriting, finding a producer, you know, and worked with different ones, settled with one, and then like after that was done, now releasing it and all that. And I think once it, like in the middle, like I think 3 years into it, I was tired. I was like, when is this finishing? Why isn't it working the way I expected? Like
Mm.
there was a time, unfortunately, the producer reset his hard drive and lost like 8 songs and we had to start again. I was so
Oh my
sad.
god.
So I've had that, and sometimes in the middle of it you don't see the end, and even the
Right.
journey itself is just tiring. You're just like, I really want to get to the end. But in times, I remember when I'd get there, I'd tell myself, okay, don't make any decisions, just let the
Mm.
process be. You can take a break. I remember when the album was done, when I'd done all my part and the producer was mixing, so it took him about a year. So I just said, 2018, I was really tired and I was like, I'm not even sure what I'll do next. But I said, don't make any decisions, let the album be done, and then you can decide whether you release it or not or what you're gonna do. But just, you know, give it space.
Right.
But yeah, I've been there, and I think the thing I've learned is sometimes you can take a break, or sometimes you can just pause. But if you can see your way through, because what happened at the end of that year, I applied for this competition that was for Mr. Easy, one of the big artists in the
Mhm.
continent or in the world, really. And I got in, and when I got in, one of the prizes was that they pay for the release of one song and they give you money to do a music video. Now,
Mm.
at the beginning of 2018, I was done. I was like, I'm tired of this music career. I've done everything. You know, by the time I was working on my album, I'd already been pursuing it through uni, through school. Like, so it was a while. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness. And I didn't even think I'd get in. I was not planning much. And then it literally changed my whole career. So now I have the support to release my first ever single. And it was crazy. So I understand the pressure. It's there, it's
Yeah.
real. But I think if we could just go through, if you can go through, you tend to find the passion comes back. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? Have
100%.
you had any similar experiences?
I mean, it's very recent for me because working on the film last year was like that. And it was so I was laughing at the part about the computer, not because it's a good thing, but because that's what happened with me. My so I the I have this idea, right? Like I want to do this idea and then of doing the friendship paradox, a film about friendship and adulthood. And then I was like, well, I've been using this video editing software for years now. It's not going to be a problem. It'll be fine. Well, what I neglected to think about because this isn't like something I was trained in or that I just know everything there. I'm not like an expert. So I didn't take into account that the videos that I had been editing up until that point were at the most an hour and a half.
Mm,
I didn't take into account that I had over 30 hours of footage for the film, and my little computer could not handle that. And so my whole computer almost like went down altogether. But before that happened, I was like, I have to go get a new computer. So I literally had to invest in a more powerful computer just to get the film done. And then by the time I got that all straightened out, I had kind of lost my steam for a little bit. I lost a little
mm,
bit of inspiration, like all that passion that I had at the beginning to do it. All of those little things had added up and I became so frustrated by it that I was like, I don't know if what am I doing? What was I doing even taking this on? You question the
yeah.
decisions that you made however long ago. But I pushed through it. The film came out. It's great and wonderful. There's things being done with it behind the scenes now. And so it works out. It always it I mean, I don't want to say it always works out. Now I need to find some wood here to bang on. But usually on reflection, we can see that we may have put more pressure on ourselves than we needed to, you
Yeah.
know.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's because we're thinking about it needs to pan out this way, or this is my expectation on it, or maybe like I think also one of the things I realized was I was not really aware of other people's journeys and how
Mm,
long it seemed to take them because to me it seemed like people going to the studio maximum 1 year later, maybe two. I wasn't I at that point I didn't know like for some people it can take 5 years, 10 years, like that to me felt so long. And so I
mm,
think it also taught me the importance of other people also sharing their process or me sharing my process, because a lot of times when you don't see people's journeys, like you just assume that you're behind,
right.
especially if we're in the thick of it. So I think that's why it's very important to share. You don't have to share everything, but at least parts of your journey, because it helps people understand there is a process to these things. Like it's not just it takes time sometimes for alignment, and you
Yeah.
may not see it, but being patient enough to go through it is important. And I
Yeah.
think especially now when there's so much, like you can go viral, many people are like, oh, you go overnight, but most people, actually some people, when you hear the viral story, it was like 10 years in the making, right? Like they were making
Right.
all these videos or all this music, and then this one song catapults. But it's like many little things that lead to this
Yeah.
massive moment. So I think it's also understanding that and not feeling like, one thing I always tell myself, just because you haven't gone viral doesn't mean you're not valuable, you know.
Mm,
And I think that's the thing, because now it's measured in massive metrics, which of course we all want. But I think understanding that wherever you are in the journey, it is valid and it actually helps. Because right now, I also had to get over that fear of, oh my goodness, this is going to take me another 5 years to work on another album. So I just kept putting it off, and I was also tired. So, but now I'm feeling inspired. I'm writing faster. Like, I have the experience from the last album, so I can make different decisions, better decisions. So yeah, it really helps to complete your passion, like a passion project. There's something to be said about finishing something. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
And I totally agree with what you're saying about going viral and everything else. There was a coach a while back who was doing a program about going viral on TikTok, right? And so she had so many followers and so many views and all of these things, but she never wanted to answer the question, like, how does it actually convert though? Like, how does it translate? Because that's a big question too. You could have 1 million people watch your video about, your book that you just wrote, but if no one bought the book from that video, does the 1 million people watching it even matter? Like, I don't, it's a question. Like,
No, it's a valid one. And I
yeah.
think that's the thing that I keep saying when I look at like the community you have built,
Mm,
communities I have built, like many times people are deceived by the numbers, but there is so much impact and so much power. Like
right.
there've been so many examples where you'll find someone has like 1 million followers, they launch a product or have an event and nobody shows up.
Mm,
you and because in their mind it was like, well, if you have 1 million, surely. But big numbers does not mean big conversions. It's not
right.
guaranteed, because I
Right.
think the key part is community and conversions. Like if you have a
Yes.
community that wants to actually consume and they believe what you're saying, you'll find someone maybe who has even 100 followers is way more influential than someone who has 1 million, because some people are there, 1 million people watching, while 100 people are engaging. So
Mm,
it's perspective, it's understanding. And
right.
I've had to tell myself that so many times, specifically in
Yes.
my music career, because yeah, you're judged by the numbers by most of the industry. So if you only focus on that, you will literally want to give up, because it's public. The numbers are public. You can see how much someone has streamed, how many
Right.
views you have. But I think for me, what keeps me going is when I have like you saying how my song moved you when you were in a specific space, or I'm on this show and I'm having a really hard day and then the conversation just lifts me up. So
Yeah.
those life moments that can literally change the trajectory of your life, you're like, that's bigger than any million streams could ever, because that's
Yeah.
a life, so yeah.
Right. 100%. Danielle's joining us this morning. Good morning. Miss Rhonda's over here from Spirit Session. Joanne's saying, I don't think I want to go viral. I prefer small and meaningful connections. And it brings up a question too about, like, if you prefer to have those one-on-one relationships with people, can you handle 1 million one-on-one relationships? Like, how much time do you have? It's not a lot. It is a great question. Nina's here this morning. Good morning, Nina. So it's all a good conversation to have. I want to go back to when you were talking about the music video, because as when we take on these big projects and things like that, sometimes, like, we obviously have our own expectations and our own timeline, but then the people that we're working with or working for, they have their own expectations and their own timeline. So how do you sort of balance between what your ideals are and the ideals of those that you're working with? Like, did you come up against that when you were making the music video, that they had their things but then you had yours, and how did you balance that?
Yeah, so actually that was more like with the album itself. So with the
Mm,
album, it was like trusting timing, because I felt like I would get frustrated. I want my producer to work at a certain rate, and at times it's just not happening. And I had
yeah.
to really trust that there's a reason why this music needs to be done when it needs to be done. And when I stopped trying to push and be like, this is where I need to be, and I understood that it was actually bigger than me. There's a spiritual kind of alignment that needed to happen. Now I can see why it needed to take that time. Then I could not see. But with the
Right.
music video, what was really great was the freedom. Like, it's probably one of the best funding I've ever seen for artists, because
Mm,
they were just like, you just send us the video. Here's the money. And that was it. Like there was no other
Wow.
brief. There wasn't like, you have to do this. It has to be this theme. It was like, we've sent you the money. And like Mr. Easy's Ghanaian Nigerian, and he's so funny. So he was like, if you want to chop the money and there's no video, that's on you. So basically it's like, if you want to eat the money and you don't do the video, we'll just say we gave you the money. And you
Wow.
do not, like, but it was so, but I think he understood because he's a fellow artist. So he was like, why he created that fund was because his first music video really gave him a big break. And he'd been
Mhm.
funding a lot of artists like in the background. So it's like, why don't I just make it official? And I keep saying that a lot of times when people are funding creatives, they have an assumption that they know what we need. And so they create all these like, I guess, definitions that they think are helping us, but sometimes
Yeah.
it's actually limiting us. So for me, I always use him as an example of, if you want to fund a sector, talk to the people in the sector and be open to hearing what they actually need and how they need it. Because
Yeah.
if you keep on funding and you don't live it, you're not the artist, you don't know. Like for instance, people sometimes just need money for rent so they can actually write the songs or edit the film. But you're like, everything should go to the art, but what am I eating? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
starving. So
And it's similar to the story I was telling about the deli over here and how he got a break, and so he wants to give back, and it sounds like that's what he was wanting to do as well. He had this big break and he wants to give back
yeah,
to other artists. But like you're saying too, it's so important to just listen. I even think about this in terms of so much that's going on politically right now. Locally, we had this like bill passed the other day that it's was full of all of this stuff, and it's like, did you even listen what people want, or do you just rambling on with all of this stuff that doesn't impact the American people?
yeah, exactly. It's just like there's always, I feel, a disconnect between sometimes the people giving the
Mm,
money and the ones who need the money. And for
yes.
me, actually, with Money Conversations, which is like a series I started, one of the conversations I keep starting to have more is about like, when you're funding a sector, talk to the people and actually want to listen to what they need. Because for us, for instance, in the continent, a big issue we have is people fund pain arts, which basically
Mm,
means you need to have a sad story, or it needs to be on climate change, or it needs to be about, eradicating poverty or help something. But rarely will someone give you money to just make nice music or just
mm,
for joy. Like they rarely will fund, but you need to have a sad story. If you don't have a sad story, like, we're not funding it. And so it means that you then dictate the type of art that comes out of certain spaces, which is unfair, because I'm like, joy is just as powerful as pain,
right.
like, if not more, you know so I
I'm having deja vu at the moment, because I swear I think we had this conversation in another lifetime or something, because
really.
I just I have to chime in on this, because um I have talked about this before, where I will post two different things on social media. I'll post something about having a really hard time, and I'll post something that really good that happens. And I will get so much traction, so much attention, so many likes, comments, all of this stuff on the negative one, but on the positive one, not so much. And I think that we've put this, stay with me here for a minute. We've put this, I don't know if it's if expectation is the word that I'm looking for, or just an energy out there, that in order to have people pay attention to what we're doing, that we have to suffer in order for that to happen. And it's not a conscious thing. It's not people saying, well, you need to suffer or I'm not going to like your stuff.
No.
It's a subconscious thing that's
Mhm.
happening, and I'm watching this and I'm like, this is wild that we can get so much attention on this stuff that is not benefiting anybody.
Yeah.
And it's just I've gone around and around with
No.
this conversation.
No, but it makes sense. It makes sense. And I think it's because there's a lot of um, how would I say? I think pain sometimes is put on a pedestal. And if you do
Mm,
not have a pain story, then it's almost seen like, then was it even worth it, you know? And
right.
everyone will have contrast.
Mm,
There'll be good times, challenging times there. But I feel like we need to also encourage the joy, because then what happens is I feel like we're having so much pain, and there's only so much pain any being can consume before
right.
you start to have signs of sickness, of hurt. Like, I feel like our world is crying because there's just too much pain. And like, that is what's being magnified. And if there's too much pain, you'll get the result of pain, which is a lot of sickness and stuff we do not want, and hate, and just so I think, like, we being in a revolution is a revolution of joy. Like, that in itself is important. We
Right.
need joy. It is important for us to remember that that's actually what keeps us going, going for
Right.
walks, being in nature, the things that actually make us happy, that help us exist in a brighter way, are being muted, because unfortunately some people know that wherever you put your energy, you get more of that. And if you have, and then it creates this negative cycle that then
Yep.
they can feed with products that we don't really need. So,
Right, right. You hear what Olivia said, though, everybody. We need a revolution of joy, and that's what we're doing here on
yeah.
Project Joy Live. That's what we're doing with you. Miss Tracy's joined us this morning. Good morning, Tracy. Good to see you today. We need that. We need to keep. That's the biggest thing that has me continuing with this show and this network. Even when it's really hard, it's continued because I'll have this feeling like I just don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired. I don't want to do it. And then I will turn on the regular news or I'll scroll on social media and it's all crap and doom and gloom and poor me and everything else. And I'm like, no, I have to continue because that's
Yeah.
why, because we can't be bombarded with just this. And this is why it's important. I'm so thankful for every single one of you. If you haven't done it yet, click the like button, the love button, share this episode out, share the network out so that other people can find the good news and the joy and all of that. I have one more sort of interesting question, little rabbit hole question with this. As you were creating your album, is there anything that could have happened or anything that could have come up for you that would have said to you, I shouldn't do this? Like, is there anything that could have kept you from completing the album?
Oh, do we have time?
Yeah. I mean, I
I
think about that question for myself too, because I'm like, there could have been any number of things. That computer could have gone down. I could have lost everything. But I feel like eventually for me, if the passion is strong enough, I would have probably circled back around eventually. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, I think of so many things. I think of even the time of where I was in my life.
Mm,
I was, the messages were like, if you haven't made it by the time you're 30 as an artist, a specific
mm,
female one, what are you doing? And then, I was working these jobs that I didn't necessarily like, but I was doing it because I needed to pay for my album. There was family stuff that was happening, and there was so many competing things happening. So it could have been very easy for me to be like, you know what, let me just go get a good, well-paying communications marketing job.
mm,
And I do that, and I will then move out, and I'll do what everyone, is expected of me, and I even had, like, many years later, someone told me, a former schoolmate of mine made a comment like, "Oh, Olivia was so clever. Why did you choose to be an artist?" And I was like, "Oh my God!" Like, so there was also those expectations of people like, "Oh, you're an artist. Oh, you can actually sing." Like, once they hear the music, so I feel like there were so many voices that were like, on the, you don't need to do this, you're too old for this, you're too this. Or
mm,
even like with the producer, it could have been that he couldn't recover the songs and we just couldn't find our way through it. And maybe I just wouldn't have applied for that Empower thing, and who knows where I would be. But I think what I always think about is all the alignments and all the blessings and all the angels and all the things that happen behind the scenes that I don't even know about that led me to make sure that this happens.
Yeah.
And so for anyone out there who's in that could part and is like, I think you owe it to yourself to finish that passion project.
Right.
If for no one else, for yourself. And there's
Right.
something very powerful when you honor a commitment you've made for yourself.
Right.
And many times, yes, of course, the world needs it and it's important. And there are probably people depending on your art, like you don't know, or whatever it is you're doing, that need you to fulfill your promise to yourself. But most importantly is what you signal to yourself when you complete your passion, or at least complete the project.
Right.
You're saying that you're worthy of your time, of your effort, of the labor, even of the pain. Like you were saying, you're worthy of that. And we're good at doing that for other people. But unfortunately, we do not do that often enough for ourselves. Like, and I want to quickly segue into a book that I actually pulled up that really helped me, and it's called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. And if you guys and it's one of the books that I read, and it's basically the whole book is about resistance, right? So resistance on creating art, and so like I even opened to a page that says creating a soap opera in our lives is a symptom of resistance. So it basically talks about all the different resistance that we can create so that we don't do the art or don't do that passion project because either we're afraid or just we're conditioned to think that we shouldn't. And so through the book, it gives you ways to overcome that resistance so you can actually complete the work.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I love that. I need to find that book. I mean, I've heard of the book, The Art of War. A lot of people here read that in school or whatever else, but I love The War of Art. I need to go check that out. Thank you for sharing that. Because I think that's going to be helpful to people for sure. I forget what I was going to say. I was going to share something and then, as you were talking about how things line up and you don't realize, I got into this conversation the other day. So Billy Joel just performed at the casino that's right over here by my house. And, the tickets for a Billy Joel concert, I don't know if you guys have ever looked at those, but like the top seat in the arena is like nosebleed section is like thousands of dollars. It's unbelievable, the pricing for things. And while I do have grumbles about that, I have certain thoughts about that. I also thought about, because my husband and I were talking about this, think about how many people are in the world. Okay, that's a lot of people. I don't even know what the current number is, but it's a lot of people. Okay, and then how many out of those people can carry a tune? How many people out of those people can sing? Right, we brought it down to significantly. All right, and then how many of those people would classify themselves as a singer? Right, and then how many of those people actually have not only classify themselves as a singer, they have a career in singing, right? So we continue to cut down. And then how many of those people that have a career actually make it? They people know who they are. That cuts it down even more. So then how many people that know who they are, they're a singer, they're a performer, have a hit song? Okay. And then take that number. How many of those people have multiple hit songs? How many people of those people have had a career that expands decades? So I was making this point because we're down to very, very few people. Like, what had to happen and like to be at that level? And that could explain why some people charge astronomical prices for their and to top it off, Billy Joel, and then another one that's doing their final performance right now, Dionne Warwick, Rod Stewart, people like that who have been around and had hit after hit after hit, and now this is their last go round. So I mean, as much as I don't like astronomical prices, because that means that I'm not going, I also can understand it, because what had to happen for the things to align in that way, if you think about how few people it is, it was mind-blowing for me to sit and think about that.
Yeah, that's a very massive realization, and it's true.
Yeah.
And even just the cost of the bigger you are, the more like more hits you have, the more
Right.
expensive your show will be. Not even because
Mm.
of you, but just the virtue of your team and your brand and yeah, so definitely those prices go up, but I love how you broke it down. It's true, and how many people even have chosen to go after their career or still want to be performing at this point, and a lot, not
Yeah,
very many.
we could go down the rabbit hole with all these things. Teresa said my ticket to see Paul McCartney from 60 feet away in the 90s cost $365. It would be way more than that today, I feel like. But listen, this has been such a good conversation. Let us know if you have any questions, comments, anything like that that you would like to know about this topic. And we need to get to birthdays. So here we go. Happy birthday to you. We were talking about this before the show, and speaking of music, there's 4 different people in the world of celebrities that music that have birthdays today. Johnny Cash, who passed away in 2003, had a birthday today, and I was sharing a very funny story with Olivia before the show about the song "Ring of Fire" and the birthing experience. So use your brain. Okay, number 2. Erica Badu. I didn't even realize we were talking about this before the show too. She's 54 years old today. I thought she was in her 40s.
Me too.
But oh my God, the song On and On from back in the day, that whole album, Baduism, is fire. Like, so, I mean, Apple Tree, the whole, I'm such a big fan. So happy birthday, Erica. Michael Bolton, 72 years old today, an incredible voice, and my fellow Connecticut resident here. So happy birthday, Michael Bolton. And a final celebrity birthday, Corinne Bailey Ray. And you have a funny story about, or a fun story about Corinne.
Yeah, so Corinne Bailey Ray went to the same uni as me. So that's University of Leeds. She's actually from Leeds. No, I know she's from Leeds. And so she had a show at Leeds. And it was so awesome because it's when she was like really blowing up. So we got to see her really affordably. It was like £24, which I guess is like the equivalent of like $30. And it was decent. You could see her, and it was a great show. So I remember that was also one of the highlights of like, one day I'm gonna be an artist like that. And so it was great seeing her. And she was so wonderful, and it was such a good show.
So fun, so fun. That's amazing. I was thinking about too that one day I had seen Collective Soul and Goo Goo Dolls over here at the college performing before they had like, it was right as the song Name came out for Goo Goo Dolls. And you know, same as Teresa's talking about, we were right up against the stage. I don't know, it was like $20 for a ticket or something like that. And so now it's a very different story. So it's always neat to see like when you know someone at the beginning of their career.
Yeah.
You know, before they've made it big or whatever. It's nice to see that transformation happen.
Really great. It's true.
Love it. And Teresa said that yesterday, speaking of music, was George Harrison's birthday as well. So we love that. One of my brother's favorite songs when he was little, before he passed away, was I Got My Mind Set on You. And so every time that song comes on in the car, it makes me think of him. And I love that song. So anyway. Any birthdays you have to celebrate today, Olivia?
There's actually my friend on Friday, Shiro, and my cousin Byron. Shiro and Byron are having both on 28th.
All right, and Byron, nice. Happy birthday to you guys. I hope you guys have an amazing celebration. I stopped saying to have a good day because I think we should celebrate as long as we want. So I'm just going to say have a good celebration. So that's what we'll do. All right, let's get our birthday song on. Here we go. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Johnny, Erica, Michael, Corinne, George, Terry, and Byron. Happy birthday to you. There we go. birthday to all those that are celebrating. And I just want to say what a challenge it is to try to sing together and have some kind of harmony when there's a delay
Yeah.
across the internet. It is really, really hard. So I give us pats on the back
Yeah.
for pulling it. I love it. I love it. Anything that you have going on, Olivia, that you want to share with everybody before we go today?
Well, I launched an Instagram page for my Money Conversations brand. Super proud of myself. And I'm
Yeah.
also having a newsletter launching soon. Actually, it's out, so there's a link on my page. And yeah, it's just been great having this series. Can't believe it's been 4 years I've been having that series on Instagram, on my page, Olivia Ambani. But now it's like it's grown and it needs its own page. And so yeah, so I'm working on that branding and I'm really excited. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And money conversations are so important. So, so important. We have so many beliefs around money, trauma
Mhm.
around money, inexperience, misinformation, there's all kinds of stuff. So I love that you're doing that. And everything that you do, Olivia, I appreciate because everything that you do, you keep it so relatable and real for people. It's not like you don't share things that I feel like are so out of reach that we can't get there. Like we're just listening, we're motivated, and now we don't go do anything. I feel like your things that you share are easy reachable for the people. So
Yay, thank you. That's my whole point. It's like make it easily accessible so people actually do stuff and don't just
yeah.
be like, nice conversation. Because my whole point is you want action. So that's great feedback. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, absolutely. So listen, guys, we have co-working coming up here in at the top of the hour. We have a half day we're doing today from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern time. If you've never come to co-work with us, we co-work Pomodoro style. So that means we have select work times where we knuckle down and we focus, and then we have scheduled break times together, and we can encourage each other, celebrate each other for accomplishing what we set out to do, and hold each other accountable for what we say we're going to do. You don't want to be the one coming back from great break going or coming on to break going, well, I scrolled social media for a half hour. You want to say, I got the stuff done that I came here to do. So it's a great space to be. Come and join us from 10 to 2 today. We also have another session on Friday at 9:55 a.m. and this afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern time in our virtual gym. I'm so excited because Sharon Saraga Walters, who is our gratitude expert, she's also, you may not know this, a fitness trainer. And so she's going to be coming into our gym once a month to share an Ask the Trainer segment with us where we're live in the gym. You can ask your questions. And today we're going to be talking about our journeys with fitness, movement, exercise, things like that, and why it matters to look back at our journeys, how it relates to our relationship with movement and all of that as well. So come and join us for that. It's free in our virtual community. Just go to thebreakthroughshownetwork.com and you can check out our calendar and it'll take you right there. So we'll have some fun with that. Thank you again, Olivia, for joining us today. Always good to see you, and you'll be back in a couple weeks.
Yes, thank you so much for having me as well.
Absolutely. I love you guys so much today. I'm Jessica Dugas. This is Olivia Ambani. And we want to remind you that you are the joy. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.